All right, guys. So this past weekend we had UFC Qatar Sarukian versus Hooker, and yeah, it actually ended up being quite an interesting and exciting card. We had a big submission in the main event, obviously, and a lot of finishes up and down the card. So today I will be reacting to every fight, as well as matching up every winner on the prelims, as well as every fighter on the main card. So without further ado, let's get into it. Fight number one, we had Denzel Freeman versus Marcus Boudlo, whatever the fuck, making both guys making their debut. Excuse me. And yeah, I didn't catch this fight as it was 4 a.m. in the morning for me, but I do know that Denzel Freeman won by decision. I caught pretty much right at the end of the fight. Denzel Freeman, he was getting vocal. He was landing the leg kicks. He landed a big spinning wheel kick to the head of Boudlo, and he won in what I believe was quite a boring decision. But yeah, man, impressive debut for Freeman nonetheless. I don't see him going too far in the heavyweight division, but he does seem quite athletic, so that's a bit of a plus. And yeah, I think for Freeman, his next fight should be against Louis Sutherland, who just recently got submitted by Volta Walker. I think this would be a pretty even matchup. I mean, both guys pretty powerful, and they seem to have good Muay Thai, decent kicks as well. Yeah, man, this is the next fight for both of these guys. The Vanilla Gorilla versus Luke Fox. Moving on to the second fight of the night, we have Nurullo Ali of Khabib 2.0 taking on Shamrock. And yeah, man, just pretty much exactly how I predicted. Nurullo Aliyev won the fight by decision. His wrestling was too much for Shamrock. Kind of froze him up on the feet. I mean, Shamrock only landed about, I think, 11 or 12 significant strikes in total. He did have good kicks, but he kind of got rocked, I believe, in round one as well, and he just couldn't get going. He got taken down, controlled quite a bit. But Aliyev looks pretty good on the feet too, man. And I don't think we should rush this guy too much. I mean, he's still quite young. I think he's only 26 years old, but he is a bit of a prospect in the lightweight division. And I think a good matchup for his next fight would be Mike Davis. Obviously, Mike Davis is a veteran in the UFC. He is quite inactive, which I think suits Aliyev's kind of activity level as well. I mean, Aliyev kind of fights once a year. I believe he had a 2-year layoff. I don't know if that was because of injury or visa issues or whatever it was, but both guys are quite inactive. So I think that their schedule both match. And Mike Davis is coming off a win this year against Mitch Ramirez. And I think it'd be a good test for Aliyev. I mean, he's got good takedown defense. He's got crisp boxing. I do think Davis has a chance to win this fight. I don't think this is one of those, prospect versus veteran type fights where, it's kind of like, oh, well, this is just, excuse me, this is just a layup fight for the prospect. I think Davis has got a chance to win this fight. He's got the good boxing, as I said. Definitely a better striker overall than Aliyev, but obviously Aliyev has that crushing wrestling pressure. So yeah, man, I think this is a big banger matchup for the next fight of Nurullo Aliyev, Mike Davis. Moving on to the third fight of the night, we had Ismail Naurdiev absolutely going out there and smoking round Loader in about a minute and a half with a big right hook straight down the middle, just as I predicted. I did pretty good on my picks this card, man. I only got a couple wrong, as you guys will probably find out later on in the video. But yeah, man, great win for Naurdiev. Pretty much did exactly what he was supposed to do. Would have been a pretty bad loss, in my opinion, if he lost to Loader. He was just too explosive on the feet, man. Big right hook, puts Ryan Loader to sleep, out cold. And yeah, man, like I said, impressive performance for Naurdiev. And I think for Naurdiev's next fight, a good matchup would be Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. He's just coming off that win from UFC Chicago, I believe. Over who did he beat, man? I can't even remember. But yeah, he beat GM3. Excuse me. Yeah, coming off that win over GM3. I think this would be a good matchup. Both guys pretty explosive on the feet. Kind of shorter middleweights, but quite fast hands. And yeah, I think it's a slight step up for Naurdiev in his. I think this is his fourth fight back in the UFC now, or it will be. And Oleksiejczuk is a veteran. It'd be a good test for Naurdiev. And I think Oleksiejczuk seems to be somewhat of a gatekeeper in terms of, like, if you can beat him, you're probably going to be moving on to higher competition and guys in the top 15 or ranked just outside the top 15. So yeah, man, I think this would be a good matchup. Ismail Naurdiev versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Fourth fight of the night, we had Elio Torturio, Alexandre Topuria beating Beksat Aymakan. I actually picked Aymakan to win by decision. But this was a good performance from Topuria, man. He rocked Aymakan pretty good with his boxing, I believe, in the second round. Got a beautiful takedown. I think it was, I can't even remember what round this was. This again, guys, this was like 5 a.m. in the morning for me, so I was kind of half asleep. I don't remember everything that happened, but I do remember it was impressive. He got a nice, I think it was like a judo throw on Aimakan. Good grappling pressure. Aimakan did land a few good shots on the feet, but I think Taporia's presence, and he's got good ringmanship. Obviously, being the coach of ILIA, his younger brother, he does have good fight IQ. So, yeah, man, impressive performance again from Taporia. And I don't think we should rush him. I mean, I know he's got a lot of hype around him being ILIA's older brother. But I think his next fight should be Ricky Simone. Ricky Simone is just coming off that loss to Jaime Barcelos. He was ranked about 2 years ago, and I think he's a good test man. He's got power in the hands. He's a good wrestler. He's quite fast, but I think he's a bit past his prime. And if Taporia can beat Simone, I think definitely he deserves a top 15 opponent. Probably like in the lower third. Maybe like a, I don't know, like a Vinicius Oliveira or someone like that if he does beat Ricky Simone. But yeah, man, I think this would be a decent matchup. Both guys pretty good wrestlers, as I said. Both guys good power in the hands, and yeah, I think this would be a banger. Simone versus Taporia should be the next fight for Alexandre Taporia. Fight number 5, we got Abdul Rahman Yakyaev versus Rafael Sequeira. As I picked again, I picked this one exactly right. Round 1 submission for Yakyaev, although it could have been a knockout as he went out there and absolutely fucking destroyed Sequeira. Again, similar to the Nardiev Loda fight, did exactly what he needed to do. Comes out, fast hands, lands a spinning wheel kick, rocks Sequeira badly. Then he lands a straight and lead head kick, drops Sequeira, locks in the rear naked choke, taps him out in 33 seconds flat. Super impressive performance for Yakyaev. Yeah, he's a young guy. He's talented. He's only 24 years old. 8-0 in his pro career. But similar to, excuse me, similar to the Taporia's win in this previous fight. I don't think we should rush him. Obviously, he's still young, still quite inexperienced. I do think that eventually this style will kind of be exposed where he's going to try and do this to someone with good experience and kind of just gas out and lose a fight by decision. As Chael Sonnen said, if you try to finish someone and you don't finish them, you're most likely going to lose the fight by decision. But anyway, man, I think the next fight for Sequeira should be Bruno Lopez. I think this would be a good little step up in competition. Someone with a decent record, but not the best skill for skill fighter overall. Lopez, I think he's 14-2 overall. Pretty good record, but if you look at some of his wins, he is quite chinny. He recently just got knocked out by Dustin Jacoby. He did have a really impressive win over oh man, what's this dude? Gadzhiyazulov, or Magomed Gadzhiyazulov, who was undefeated at the time, which I thought was a bit of an upset. Yeah, man, he's a tough guy. He's got good kickboxing. He even got dropped in his Contender Series fight. So I do think he is a bit chinny, and Yakyaev definitely has the potential to finish him. But he could get fraud check, man. You never know. I mean, Bruno Lopez is a good kickboxer. He's an experienced guy, and he's fairly well rounded himself. But yeah, man, I think this would be a good step up in competition for Yakyaev. And then obviously, if he wins that, we can start putting him towards that top 25 of the light heavyweight division. But yeah, man, moving on to fight number 6, we had Asu Elmabayev versus Alex Perez, round 3 submission. Pretty much right at the start of round 3. Going into the third round, it was quite a close fight. I mean, Perez was getting a bit scrappy on the feet. He did get taken down, but he was landing some good blitzes and kind of, let's just say it was fairly back and forth, man. But straight, right at the start of round number 3, Perez shoots a double leg. Almabayev jumps the standing guillotine and taps him out right at the start. I think it was like 20 seconds into round 3. Pretty rare submission. I mean, you don't often see standing guillotines like that. So yeah, it was a good performance for Almabayev. Yeah, and improves his record to I think 23-3, which is pretty impressive. But despite that, I don't think he should get a super someone ranked above him, even though he did just win. Obviously, he got knocked out by Manel Kape in his last fight. I think a lot of people would want to give him like a top 5 guy, like I don't know, like an Amir Abazi maybe. But I think we just got to take it easy with this guy, man. He's still fairly young, and I think the perfect matchup for him would be Tim Elliott. I mean, Tim Elliott recently just exposed another prospect from Asia in Kaya Sakura, submitted him in the second round at the UFC Chicago. And yeah, I just think this is kind of the role that Tim Elliott's going to be playing for the rest of his career. He's going to be fighting these young, dangerous guys with much better records than him, and figuring out, he's the ultimate gatekeeper for flyweight. And, I think if Almabayev wins that one, we can put him in the top 5 fight, maybe against like the loser of Brandon Moreno, Tetsuya Otara, even the winner, or like the loser of, well, if Royval loses against Cup, we can put him against Royval maybe, or something like that, man. But yeah, I think this would be a good matchup for Almabayev. Both guys are good grapplers. They both have good guillotines. Obviously, I think Almabayev's got a speed advantage, especially on the feet. Excuse me. Yeah, and I just think overall this would be a pretty good even matchup. And I think Almabayev is only 2 spots above Elliott. I think Elliott's number 9. Almabayev's maybe 6 or 7. So it's not too unrealistic in terms of like rankings placement. So yeah, man, Elliott versus Almabayev should be the next fight for Asu. And moving on to the next fight, Nicholas Dolby gets the split decision win over the debuting Sagid. Man, I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm sorry, man. Sagid Izagakmayev. I believe that's how you say his name. And I don't think many people were picking Dolby to win this fight, especially because he just got knocked out by Randy Brown only a few months ago, and he is quite old. I think he's 41. And obviously Sagid, he's coming out of Abdulmanap school. I think he had Islam in his corner. I can't remember, man. As I said, this was too early in the morning for me. But yeah, he's to make a long story short, he had a good corner. He had a good team around him, and Dolby turned this into a dogfight. I didn't get to catch this whole fight, but yeah, Dolby turned this into a dogfight. He was getting in the clinch, landing his punches. I believe he got taken down at one point, but he managed to get back to his feet, land some good shots. Yeah, all I know is that he won by split decision. I don't think it was a robbery because despite me not watching most of the fight, I feel like a lot of people online would have been, quite vocal about that, as they always are with any close fight that they think some guy won. So yeah, man, impressive win for Nicholas Dolby. He continues to expose these, dangerous guys with a record. Like this is pretty much exactly what I said in my prediction video. If you look at the guys that he's fighting, like they always give him really tough matchups, and he seems to like exceed expectations. Like he had that he beat Bonfim by KO. He had that close fight with Fakhretdinov. And, he had a draw with Darren Till. And all these guys that he's not supposed to win. Like in terms of like skill level, and athletic ability, he's got a disadvantage against these guys. But he's just fucking tough, man, and he's got a crazy cardio, gas tank, whatever you want to call it. Pushes a crazy pace, excuse me. And yeah, man, Dolby continues to impress against these younger guys with dangerous, records or skill level, whatever you want to say, man. Dolby just looked good in this fight, and I think a great matchup for Dolby's next fight should be Santiago Ponzinibbio. This guy is so fucking old. I couldn't find. They didn't have an updated like, um, you know. Fighter image for him. This is from like fucking 2022 probably, as you can see from the old ass Venom shorts in the corner. But I think this would just be a great fight. 2 absolute unks in the Apex. You could make this a fucking co-main event in the Apex or whatever you want to do. Put in a big fight night somewhere, maybe at the London card next year in March. Yeah, I think this should be a banger. 2 absolute dogs. They're just going to be going out there swinging hammers for 3 rounds if it lasts that long. And yeah, just 2 absolute unks going out there, going to war. And yeah, why not, man? Fuck it. Book this thing right now. Please, Hunter Campbell, whoever's out there, listen to me. I need this fight. I need to see this fight, man. But yeah, next fight of the night, the main event of the prelims, we had Luke Riley, lads. Fucking Luke Riley. Fucking knocked out this fucking Bogdan. I don't know who the fuck this guy is, lad. Fucking Bogdan Grad. Yeah, man, Luke Riley went out there, finished Bogdan Grad. He kind of got dominated in the first round. I did pick Bogdan Grad to win that fight by decision. And yeah, it was looking to be on that kind of track in the first round. Grad got the takedowns, kind of just held him on the ground, landing a few pot shots here and there, kind of just Khabibing Luke Riley, as you could say. And then right at the start of the second round, Luke Riley comes out and just lands a massive right hook, sends Bogdan Grad, falling to the canvas. Looked like he almost slept him. And he follows up with a ground and pound and sleeps Grad out cold and gets the round 2 KO 30 seconds into the second round. And mate, I want the fucking title shot next, lad. Give me the fucking title shot. But no, man, this is all jokes, man. I think Jake Jenkins would be a good next fight for Luke Riley. Again, he is a bit of a prospect at featherweight, despite only having one win in the UFC. He's 12-0. He's a young guy. He's clearly popular, especially in the European market. But I don't think we should rush him, especially because I know this doesn't mean much now that he's won. But I think a lot of people were picking Bogdangrad to win. One of the reasons I picked Grad was, because if you look at the pattern in terms of like, how well debuting guys with, big records, undefeated guys from big promotions, whatever, blah, 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 have been doing this year, it's been pretty terrible. We obviously had Patchy Mix come in, a couple of other guys, Tafik Musayev, et cetera, et cetera, and they all kind of got dominated, man. Didn't look too impressive. But Luke Riley did well, man. I was pleasantly surprised by this performance. He's clearly got good power in the hands, and yeah, man, I think Jack Jenkins would be a great matchup for him. Both guys, great strikers. Jack Jenkins, a bit more of a Muay Thai guy, obviously. He likes to kick, likes to throw those front teeps, leg kicks, all that stuff. And Riley seems to be a bit more of a boxer. So kind of, both strikers, but two kind of contrasting styles when it comes to the stand up. And yeah, I think this would be an absolute banger, man. You could put it in, Australia somewhere, or like I said, maybe just a London card next year in March, I believe it is. But yeah, man, I think this would be a good banger of a matchup for Luke Riley to move him further into featherweight ranking / title contention, man. Because I do think he has potential to be ranked for sure, especially in the top 10. But first, he's got to get past Jack Jenkins. Moving on to the main card. First fight of the night. Kyoji Horiguchi is back, boys. And he's going to kick Pantoja's ass. I apologize, that was a terrible impression. But yeah, man, Horiguchi beats Ulanbekov by round 3 submission. Super impressive performance. I did pick Horiguchi, but I was super unconfident about that pick. I was kind of just like, man, I can't pick all favorites. I got to pick an underdog here. And yeah, man, Horiguchi was super impressive. Really fast, super fast on the feet. He was landing a lot of nice leg kicks. He had that kind of wide open, karate stance. Yeah, man, landed some good leg kicks. Rocked Ulanbekov in the second round, and then kind of halfway through round 3, landed a. I think it was like a right straight, maybe. I'm not sure. I got to go back and watch it, man. But either way, drops Ulanbekov bad with the head kick. Beautiful fast kick, whips it up top, drops him, gets him on the ground, up against the cage, gets a rear naked choke, puts him to sleep. Yeah, man, what can I say? Super fast hands, great kicks, and he gets a submission in midway through round 3, I believe. And yeah, man, he just looks super impressive. He's back in the UFC after 9 years, and he looks as good as he ever's been. And if you, like I said in my predictions video, if you look at his record, he's only really losing to like top level guys. I know he lost to Patchy Mix, but before Patchy Mix entered the UFC, man, everyone was fucking thinking this guy would be the next bantamweight title contender, whatever. And then he's obviously lost to Mighty Mouse, Manal Cap, guys like that. Nothing to really take away from him, man. And yeah, Ulanbekov, I don't know. I think he had a bad weight cut or something. Like he didn't really look like himself. I know Horiguchi is really good, but I think a lot of people were expecting him to beat Horiguchi, especially being a much bigger guy. And I think that's the problem, man. And I heard Makachev say in an interview that he saw Ulanbekov was really struggling to make weight, and he was not himself. He was super drained. You could kind of see it in the fight. He didn't have the best gas tank, and he got rocked quite a few times. So I think Ulanbekov's going to be moving up to 135 after this fight. Maybe not next fight, but I'm just going to go under the assumption based on what Islam said. This might be the last time. Islam said in this interview that this might be the last time we see Ulanbekov at flyweight. So if that's the case, man, if he's moving up to 135, I think he should fight Rob Font, man. I know a lot of people are going to be confused by that. Like, what? Like, what? Why the fuck would you give him Rob Font? But I mean, he's been ranked in the top, just outside the top 10 of the flyweight division for quite a few years. He's a good prospect. He's a good contender, and I think if he goes up to 135, he'll be a lot more rejuvenated. He won't, be as chinny, and I think he'll look like a better version of himself, is what I'm saying. And if that's the case, he's got the skills to fucking smoke Rob Font. I mean, Rob Font's just coming off that loss to David Martinez, but he's an older guy. He's still a talented not prospect, excuse me, contender in the bantamweight division. He's got good boxing, slick boxing, takedown defense, you name it, man. He's a classic, like, stuff and brawl, whatever you want to call it, man. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, I think this would be a good matchup if Ulanbekov decides to go up to bantamweight. Jesus Christ. Um, but if he stays at flyweight, I don't know, man. Just give him fucking Bruno Silva or some shit, whatever. But yeah, I think this would be a good matchup. Ulanbekov, it's his fight to lose if he goes up to bantamweight and gets this fight. Obviously, he's got this extreme wrestling advantage, and yeah, man, I think if he goes up and beats Rob Font, this would be a really impressive feather in his cap. And we'll be like, oh shit, Ulanbekov's back. He fucking destroyed Rob Font. He's like, he's a flyweight. Da 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 da. Yeah, man, Rob Font to get Ulanbekov, book it. Why not? And for Kyoji Horiguchi, again, super impressive performance. I think he should fight the winner of Brandon Royval and Manal Cup. I mean, he's ranked number 9 or 10 now, I believe, coming off that win of Ulanbekov. And, if fucking. the thing is like. He might even end up fighting Royval because, we know what the deal is with Manal Cup. This guy's pulling out of every fucking fight. And I don't trust him, man. I don't trust this guy anymore to like not pull out of a big fight. But if he makes it, if he makes it, I'll be happy. I'll be looking forward to this fight for a while, especially since it got cancelled in June. I was quite disappointed. But yeah, man. Whoever wins Royval versus Cup, give them to Horiguchi, and the winner can get a title shot against. I don't know. Obviously, we've got Brandon Moreno and Tatsuro Taro next week. It's kind of like similar to welterweight. It's kind of like a top 4 with a alternate guy on the side in Horiguchi to see like whoever has the most impressive performance. I think if Taira beats Moreno, I definitely think he will get the next shot against the winner of Pantoja and Van. But then like Manel Karp, he's already lost to Pantoja, and so is Royval, and it's like, do we really want to see that again? And then it's like Horiguchi, he's a fresh face in the flyweight division. He obviously trains with Pantoja. He called him out in his post-fight interview. And, the Pantoja's just so dominant at this point that we need a fresh face in the flyweight division. So I wouldn't be surprised if they fucking put this guy into a title shot if he beats Van. But we'll see, man. But I think a more logical matchup for him will be the winner of Manal Cup and Brandon Royval in about 2 weeks' time. Yeah, moving on to the next fight of the night. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, Shamil. I'm sorry. This photo is not edited. Shamil, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Anyway, man, we had Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Shamil Gaziev. Cortez Acosta steps in on 3 days' notice and gets the round 1 KO. Drops Shamil Gaziev about 30 seconds in, something like that, with a big right hand. Follows up, sleeps him out cold. Unnecessary hammer fist, super necessary. It was super necessary, dude. Super necessary hammer fist on the ground. Finishes Gaziev, puts him out cold in about 1:20 flat. Yeah, man. As I've said about a million times in this video, a super impressive performance from Waldo Cortez Acosta. He called out Curtis Blades for December. He wants to stay active. I think that'll be the record for most fights in a calendar year. And 6 if he gets the fight in December, but I don't think that's going to happen because he called out Curtis Blades, and I think he's still injured, coming off that fight with Rizwan Kuniev. I want to fight the Curtis Blades. But yeah, man, I think a logical matchup for Cortez Acosta is Alexander Volk. Excuse me, I completely forgot. My bad. Pinto versus Gaziev. Yeah, this would be a good fight, man. Pinto is a heavyweight prospect. It's not very often you see a young guy who's athletic and undefeated in the heavyweight division. Yeah, and I definitely think he deserves a ranked opponent next. I think he's 3-0 in the UFC now. He's got a bit of charisma too. Not that means much, but yeah. I think he should fight Gaziev. Obviously, Gaziev is ranked like number 12 now, so he definitely needs to step down in competition. And yeah, for Pinto, I think this is a chance to get him into the rankings at heavyweight and move on to bigger fights in the top 10. And now moving on to the next fight for Waldo Cortez Acosta, which I do think should be Alexander Volkov for the #1 contender spot. I mean, it's unfortunate for Volkov with the whole Aspinall Gane scenario. He would have got the next title shot, but obviously there was that no contest between Aspinall and Gane. I've just been fingered by an MMA fighter. Why are you fucking booing? I've just been fingered. But yeah, man. Anyways, I think this just makes sense really. Winner gets the winner of Aspinall Gane. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Moving on to the next fight of the night, we had Mektabek Oralbai versus Jack Hermansson. Oralbai gets the round 1 KO, sleeps Hermansson out cold against the fence. Yeah, man, Hermansson just looked dead in the water, unfortunately. He's a bit old, and I don't think the weight cut helped with his chin. I mean, he got rocked pretty badly. About 2 minutes into the fight, Oralbai follows up with a big right hand and sleeps him out cold against the fence. Yeah. Jack Hermansson, a lot of people are saying he should retire, but he's not that old, man. I mean, he is 37, but I think he should have one more fight against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, man. Wonderboy's old himself, still super fast. And, I think both guys have kind of similar styles on the feet. And I do think Hermansson can win with his grappling. I think this should be a retirement fight for both guys, however. And yeah, I just think it'd be a fun little fight. I think, we could get the thing, is like we want Wonderboy Thompson to win, right? And, we want to see him be the Wonderboy of old. And, he could get a highlight reel KO, maybe land like a spinning wheel kick, sleep Hermansson out cold, and finish his career on a high note, which is kind of the ideal scenario. But then again, Hermansson's still a tough guy. He's got good grappling, and he has, a chance to win this fight, in my opinion. So yeah, Thompson, Hermansson, maybe a retirement fight for both guys. Who knows? But yeah, I feel like this makes sense. And the next fight for Mektabek Oralbai should be Ramiz Brahimaj. Obviously, this is his first fight in welterweight, aside from the Uros Medic fight in his debut. And Brahimaj is on a nice little win streak. This is kind of the battle of two weapons here. Oralbai, can he get the takedown? And Brahimaj, is he going to be able to get a guillotine? Oralbai will probably keep it standing if he's smart, as, Brahimaj's got a nasty guillotine. He's got, I don't know, I think he's got like 13 wins, like 12 of them are submissions or something like that. I just think this would be a banger matchup. Both guys will kind of trade on the feet, and obviously Oralbai won't really try to look for a takedown, especially not from front position, seeing as Brahimaj does have that guillotine. And, he's got a good rear naked choke as well. But yeah, I just think this would be a nice little fight. Slight step down in competition in terms of name value, obviously, for Oralbai. But I don't think we should rush him. He's still new to the weight class, and he's a bit of a smaller guy at 170. So yeah, I think this would be a good test against a veteran in Ramiz Brahimaj for Mektabek Oralbai. Moving on to the featured fight of the night, we had Volkan. I just fucking blanked on this guy's name, even though it's right in front of me. We had Volkan Oezdemir versus Alonzo Menifield. Oezdemir gets the KO, sleeps Menifield out cold against the fence with a flurry of punches. He had some nice leg kicks too in this fight, landed straight punches. I did pick him to win by decision, but he just went out there. He was super aggressive. Man, impressive performance. Had some nice straight punches down the middle, landing the leg kicks, and yeah, like I just said, landed about a fucking 20 punch combination up against the fence on Menifield, sleeps him out cold. Man, impressive performance for Volkan Oezdemir. For Menifield, I think he should fight Navajo Sterling next. Fuck, dude, this guy. I'm sorry. Navajo Sterling's my boy. Obviously, we're from the same city, and yeah, but this guy is fucking so ugly, man. I'm sorry, Navajo, but you're fucking one ugly dude, bro. You're lucky you can fight, because you would not do well in much else in life. Anyway, man, I like you, Navajo. I'm just gonna keep it at that. But yeah, man, Navajo Sterling, Alonzo Menifield. Sterling's 3-0 in the UFC currently. Bit of a prospect at the light heavyweight division. I was gonna book Menifield against fucking Zhang Ming Yang, but I don't think he deserves a ranked opponent, especially being ranked number 15 at the moment. I do think he needs a guy outside of the rankings, a young prospect. And I was kind of looking at, all of the other unranked guys with good records. I was thinking like maybe a Modestas Bukauskas, but he's been booked against Nikita Krylov next year, I think in January, so that didn't really make sense. So the only logical option really was Navajo Sterling. I think this definitely gives Sterling more of a chance to showcase his, knockout power, as I do think, as we've seen in Menifield's last few fights, especially against Sterling's teammate Olberg, he is quite susceptible to being hit with big shots on the feet and kind of getting knocked out. And yeah, I just think this would be a decent little matchup. And if Sterling wins, he can get another fight in the top 15 and he becomes a bigger prospect in the 205 division. And for Volkan Oezdemir, he should fight Jamal Hill. I think it just makes sense. Jamal Hill's 0-3 in his last three, obviously. Former champion somehow. Yeah. No disrespect to Jamal Hill, but I think he might be the worst UFC champion in history, aside from maybe like Nico Montano, which I don't even fucking count, because she didn't really win it. But yeah. Oezdemir Hill, this would just be a fucking slobber knocker of a fight, and it just makes sense ranking wise. Like Hill's, I think. Let me just check the rankings real quick. I think they're like pretty much right next to each other, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so yeah, Vulcan's okay. Well, yeah, Vulcan's ranked number 9 at the moment, and Hill's number 6, which I don't really think makes sense. But either way, this would be a good little matchup, man. Jamal Hill, Vulcan, Oezdemir, and yeah, book it for next year sometime. I'm not sure when, but yeah, I think this would be a good matchup. Co-main event of the night, we had Ian Gary versus Bilal Muhammad. As predicted, Ian Gary gets the win by decision. It was a closer fight than I thought it would have been. Bilal kept it kind of scrappy on the feet. He was kind of blitzing in. Ian Gary's, picking him at range, landing his teeps. Landed a nice little combination in the second round, I believe, with a spinning backwards to a front kick, which I thought was quite memorable. He did what he had to do, man. Who's letting his jab, Bilal Muhammad tried to, dirty box, get him in the clinch, press him up against the fence, look for a takedown. But, Gary was too good. He broke away, circled out, kept him at range, and won, a good decision, 30-27. And, yeah, he just gets on the mic. Islam Makhachev, I want you next. I've gone out there and I've beaten the number 1 contender. I want my title shot now. And to be honest, he made a good case, but if you guys saw my 322 reactions and matchups, I don't know, man. I don't like. It's not that I think he doesn't deserve it. I do think he kind of deserves it because it's such a log jam at 170 right now. But I don't think they're going to give him the title shot first. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. I think Muhammad should fight Sean Brady for their rematch. Um, yeah, he's kind of fought everyone else in that kind of top 10 area. He's fought Burns, he's fought Edwards, he's fought obviously JDM. I don't think he's gonna. Well, obviously he's not gonna fight Islam. Um, and yeah, I don't think he deserves a guy like Morales. Morales and Prates would fucking smoke this guy. Let's be real. Yeah, I think this kind of just makes sense. Book it for next year. Maybe I don't know. I think they're going to Philadelphia next year sometime. You could do that. Maybe a main event in Philly. Sean Brady versus Bilal Muhammad too. I think this just makes sense. Both guys are kind of at a crossroads, intersecting each other's, kind of, what's the word? It just makes sense, man. That's all I'm going to say. It just makes sense. Sean Brady, Bilal Muhammad too. Brady can get revenge for that only loss, aside from Morales, in his career. And Muhammad, he gets a guy who's slightly higher ranked than him, which I don't think he deserves. But, he's still a former champion. He was a champion about, less than a year ago. And it was a fairly close fight with Ian Gary, man, who's a really good fighter. So I think that he does deserve this fight. And, I just spoiled that. Fucking hell. Well, spoiler alert. Yeah, Sean Brady, Bilal Muhammad, number 2. I think, why not? Just book it, man. It's the only fight that really makes sense for Bilal Muhammad. So you could give him Gabriel Bonfim, but I don't know, man. It doesn't really make sense. It just seems like Bonfim's so far away from him in terms of everything. But that could happen to maybe Bonfim or Sean Brady. But obviously, I think Brady makes more sense. And for Ian Gary, he should fight JDM. Obviously, he was the backup fighter for the Bilal Muhammad JDM fight in Montreal. And there was a bit of trash talk between them. There's a bit of a history there. And, like I said, I don't think Ian Gary doesn't deserve the title shot, but I just think he's going to have to fight one more time. And obviously, you can't fight Shavkat, you can't fight Prates, and I think Morales is going to fight Prates anyway. So this is the only fight that really makes sense. He gets to fight 2 former champions back to back, and he will definitely get the fight against Islam if he beats Jack Della Maddalena, obviously. And yeah, I just think this would be a good matchup. Do 5 rounds, a main event. Maybe put it in Australia next year sometime. Whatever, man. Boxer, kickboxer. I mean, obviously Gary's got the grappling advantage. And yeah, I think this would just be a good test for JDM to see if he's still championship level. And for Gary, obviously, if he wins, give him Islam Makhachev. I was about to say co-main. Main event of the evening, we had Arman Sarukian in his comeback performance after, man, like a year and a half out, longer than that. Coming back, submitting Dan Hooker in round number 2. My GOAT, unfortunately, lost to Arman Sarukian. Yeah, I mean, Dan Hooker did okay considering, how good Arman is. Arman landed some good kicks early on, got the takedowns. Dan Hooker was able to defend a few, and he got up, I think, from one takedown in the first round. I had Arman in a guillotine for a split second there early in the second round as well, but he eventually just succumbed to the grappling pressure of Arman and got arm triangled. Late into round number 2, yeah, there wasn't much he could do, and he kind of looked a bit frozen on the feet. Considering how good Arman is, it wasn't the worst performance for Dan Hooker, but I definitely think he should fight a striker for his next fight, and someone quite exciting, and that guy is Benoit Saint-Denis. I was going to, he did call out Moicano. I was going to match them up, but I don't know, man. I just think this would be a more realistic and appealing fight, especially for Dana. Like, he's going to get on the fucking Instagram like, this is a badass fight. This is for the fucking BMF title, kid. Yeah, I just think this, I mean, Moicano would be an okay matchup, but I just think this fight makes more sense in terms of hype and, exciting, whatever you want to call it, man. Yeah, and obviously Saint-Denis needs to step up in competition. Hooker needs to step down. Both guys are kind of close in the rankings. I think Saint-Denis maybe, I don't know, man. I think he's ranked like number 10 at the moment. Let me double check that. So, yeah, Benoit Saint-Denis is ranked number 8 at the moment, and Hooker is 6. So, yeah, that makes sense. Book this fight. I think it'll be an absolute fucking war. Banger of a fight, really. Yeah, I don't know where to put it, but yeah, just put it somewhere. Maybe, like I said, in the Australia card sometime next year. I think they do I don't know if they're still doing the February events in Australia, but we'll see, man. Saint-Denis, Dan Hooker, book it. And for the final fight of this fight night, I mean, that's obvious. You've got to book this now. I mean, I know ILIA people say he's ducking Arman Sarukian, but if the UFC books this fight, ILIA's not going to say no. And yeah, this is just the obvious fight, man. Sarukian's the number 1 contender. There's no one else for ILIA to fight. I mean, he's not going to want to fight Gaethje. If I swear to fucking God, dude, if they book ILIA against Paddy fucking Pimblett, dude, I don't know, man. I'm going to be very disappointed, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, this is just the most obvious fight, dude. They have to book Topuria Sarukian next. I know, he pulled out of that fight against Islam and, didn't put him in good graces with the UFC. But there's a new champion now. Both guys have history. They're both from, I believe Sarukian's actually born in Georgia or something like that. He was raised in Georgia, whatever. There's a bit of, like nationalistic beef there, if you want to say that. They're both from, the Caucasus Mountains. And obviously this is Topuria's hardest matchup at 155. So yeah, man, I think they should book this fight fucking sat, dude. Topuria vs Sarukian needs to happen next year sometime. I mean, Topuria's been super inactive, and this will probably, end up getting booked in like fucking July or some bullshit. But yeah, man, this is just the obvious fight, and yeah, that is my full reaction and matchups for UFC Qatar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about the matchups. If you disagree with any of them, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week for the UFC 323 predictions and breakdown. No video on Friday, obviously, as there is no UFC this weekend. This is my week's video. I know it's a bit late, but I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.